Hey everybody, welcome back to One Seed, One World. So I wanted to do an update video on the greenhouse. It has been 3 years since I built the greenhouse. It was 3 to 4. I started building the greenhouse, I think October of 2020, and finished it up in the spring of 2021. It did take me a few months as I was kind of working through things, and I also had some issues with deciding on roofing and that sort of thing with deliveries and whatnot. So it took me a few months to get done, and then early May of 2021 I had electricity put in here when we were having another electrical job done. So this was included in a large electrical job that we were having done with rewiring the garage, the garden deck that I built, and then this was included in it. If you want to see the original build playlist where I walk through all the steps of building this thing behind me, I'll put a link below. Or if you're not into watching that many videos of me rambling on and showing how to build a greenhouse, then I also have a summary montage video that is about 8 minutes long or so, and I'll put that link below too. You know, as a Gen Xer, I need to have musical montages mixed in throughout things. So this is the follow-up 3 years later of an issue that I encountered with the greenhouse. Now, with the initial build, I ended up using just the corrugated plastic to use as roofing, which I still have on like the back side. Oh, it's not on the camera. But on the two short sides of the greenhouse, I just have corrugated plastic. The long sides are all recycled barn windows that we got that are probably from like, I don't know, like the 1950s of not a greenhouse, but a barn that was torn down in a nearby town. Came up like on Craigslist or Marketplace, and we got like 30 some odd windows for like $200 or $250. And so then I refinished everything and built it. Anyway, with the roofing, that corrugated plastic held up really well for the first 3 years. I had snow loads on it of 6-8 inches, sometimes really heavy wet snow that did fine. The roof held up, no leaks, everything was cool. Just about a month I think it was about a month ago, we had a sick chicken who unfortunately passed away. She was one of our original flock girls, so she was an old girl, but we were trying to help her out, and she was kind of a mess in the back, and so we were trying to soak her, give her a little bit of a bath, as much as you can bathe chickens, but to kind of get some of the mess off the back of her. But while we were doing that, a big old thunderstorm rolled in. So we took the little tub that we were cleaning her up in and took her and everything into the greenhouse. While we were in the greenhouse, rain started, just torrential downpour. Look over, and in this back corner, not this front corner, but the back corner of the greenhouse, I noticed water coming in a fair large amount. And I was like, what is going on? So I look up, and the corrugated plastic roofing had all these holes in them. And initially, because we've had such a massively hot summer here, really high humidity values where it's like 50-60% humidity every day, and temperatures in the mid to high 90s Fahrenheit. So when you combine those two, your heat index runs anywhere from like 102 to 110. Inside the greenhouse, it was probably at least 130 degrees. And so I was like, man, maybe something melted. Now, that was just my first initial thing. I understand that probably wasn't high enough to melt anything. What I figured out is that I think over time, as there's been a little bit of settling and movement to the building, you know, there's very minute movements to buildings, especially when they're not on a standard foundation. This just has a pony wall that everything is sitting on. You might get a little bit of ground heave and stuff that might adjust the building, and sometimes I would hear little popping, cracking sounds in the plastic as stuff, you know, whether it was really hot or really cold, you could hear it sometimes making little bits of noises. but it had never had a problem before. But I think over time, that put enough stress on the plastic, and then those really high heats made that plastic brittle. And so pieces, kind of as stuff moved a little bit from cold to warm temperatures this summer, pieces broke off and fell out. So it got too brittle, and I had all these holes in my roof, which not a good thing, especially when you have electricity. I've got a ceiling fan in there, several GFI outlets, and as well as like regular plugs to run lights and whatnot, or plug, charge stuff and whatnot. So I was like, I got to fix this right away. So I ordered materials, and I decided to not go with another corrugated plastic roof. If you are in extreme temperatures, which is not normal for us, we do get hot summers, but this summer's been crazy. But if you are in a climate that gets really extreme temperatures, I would not recommend that corrugated plastic. It's not strong enough for a long term. It holds up for a while, but after time, the environment, Mother Nature is going to do a little bit of damage to it. So I decided to go with putting plywood and do a green metal roofing like I did with my other 2 sheds last summer. So that way kind of everything matches. I like the green metal roof. I think it looks good, and I thought it'd be a nice offset to the white that I painted everything in the greenhouse. So I started working on that. I fortunately, about 2 weeks ago, had a 4-day window with no rain. Even though we haven't had hardly any rain this summer, there are weird thunderstorms that come through. So I was able to take off the old roof. That's one great thing about this greenhouse, is I did everything with screws and not nails. So with a power drill, you could probably take this whole greenhouse down within a weekend if you're by yourself. But it only took me about an hour and a half to take the whole roof off, the old corrugated plastic roof. Had that all taken off on a Friday. That evening, because the temperatures have been so hot, like being out here in the middle of the day with the heat and the humidity, I did not want to be doing roofing work in the middle of the day. So I waited till later in the day, evening, and then I put on the first sheets of plywood. I did a thin plywood, like 3/8. That's probably not the best for your standard roofing. You might want to go with maybe a 1/2 inch, 5/8, 3/4, whatever they normally do roofing with. I don't know. I don't build. This is the first building I've ever built, so I worked with what I knew. Also, I wasn't super comfortable. I didn't build this roof to be walking around on. So because of that, I was a little bit nervous about getting up on the roof. So what I did is I took off the whole roof, and then I built the back of the roof and did all the plywood, tar paper, and metal first. So that way I could reach it from a ladder from the bottom, and then leaving this side open, I was able to put a tall ladder up in the top and reach over and do the top parts. And it was enough for me to be able to reach either from the back side bottom or from the top on this side. I also put the ridge cap on and screwed it down on the back side first so I could reach it from the top. Problem is that on this side, I couldn't come up through the other side to reach the top. So I did have to get on the roof on this side, and that did make me nervous because, like I said, this is the first building I ever built and the first rafters I ever made. So I was like, please hold me, don't collapse on me. Even though I've got it probably really sturdy, I've got hurricane ties on both top and bottom and everything, but I was still nervous, and then also only using 3/8 inch plywood. But I did get it up on there, and I did as much from the ladder as I could, but I finally got to the point where I had to crawl up on the roof and attach all the metal roofing, the rest of the tar paper and all that kind of thing, and finish off the ridge cap. What I basically did, I didn't take video of this whole thing, except for this one clip, but I kind of laid on the roof, stretched out, and tried not to put too much of my 190-pound body weight in one section of the roof at one time, and just reached across stuff. Now, starting on this side, it took me a week because of the temperatures and everything. And then we also had some rainstorms come through. So I was able to get all the plywood on this front side and all the tar paper on before any rain came. So that was good. I was comfortable with, if we got a couple of rainstorms, tar paper's on, that'll protect the wood, we're good. Then I started working with the metal and kind of worked my way across. Saturday morning out here, it was so hot, even starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, that I was like burning my arms and stuff, laying on the roof on that black tar paper, and then reaching across the metal was already so hot, like I was burning my hands. And then Mitzi was out here holding the ladder and stuff for me, and she came up with the fantastic idea, like, hey, why don't you throw a towel down and lean on that? I don't know why I didn't think about that. Sometimes, you know, the wives, they come up with these, actually a lot of times the wives come up with these fantastic ideas that, you know, when you're just trying to get stuff done, and they're like, hey, here's a little bit of logic for you. And so she ran in, got me a towel, and I was able to lean on the towel, and I got some trim and like one piece of metal on, but by then I was so drenched in sweat and so hot that I was like, okay, I'm not doing any more Saturday morning. And the whole rest of the day, we had some thunderstorms come through, and just hot, humid weather was awful. Finally, yesterday morning, I came back out. Mitzi again held the ladder for me. I was able to finish off some of this side drip edge trim, flashing, whatever you want to call it, and put on the last couple pieces of metal. Is it perfect? No, but I think it's very functional. It actually looks pretty decent, looks pretty great, and now it's not going to leak anymore. So that is my update on the greenhouse. Everything else is fine. The inside is fine, the windows are great, the framing is good, great, everything's great. I just had that problem with the roofing that I wanted to share with you guys, because I've had a lot of views on this, on the initial videos and on the summary video. I think the summary video has, like, I don't know, 75 or 80,000 views now. I haven't checked it in a while, but I wanted to give an update to show that sometimes you can have issues. Now, the one thing with putting on a green metal roof is it's way shady in there now. The thing is I didn't grow a lot of plants in here. I did the first year, I started all my plants in there, but because of these old windows are from the 50s or single pane, you know, they're not like your triple pane R-rated glass like you have nowadays. And with the plastic on the ends, it gets cold in there at nights when it's cold weather. And when I had the plastic roof on, summertime, it was unbearable in there. You know, even if it was like 85 to 90 degrees outside, it would be over 100 in the greenhouse. So you couldn't really grow plants in there very well. So this has cut way down, like it's bearable in there. It gets stuffy, but I still have natural light coming all the way around. Also, the sun comes across this way during the winter time when the sun's low in the sky. So I will get pure sunlight into this back window, which will help if I want to grow some things in there over the winter. I am going to try some kale, Swiss chard, and maybe some cabbage in there this year, and see how they do. But it is way shadier. However, for the bulk of what I use it for, which is hardening off plants, I can bring them out here in the spring where they're not going to just get beamed with sun from the top. They will just get natural light coming from artificial light inside, and it won't be as harsh on them. I also dry a lot of plants in here, like herbs and stuff, hang dry peppers, hang dry herbs. Now I can also put my onions in here, which I need to harvest this week. I can lay them out on racks. Got the ceiling fan there and two end fans on either top that will help get some of the stuffy hot air out of there. And the ceiling fan will keep airflow going for like drying out my onions and other things that I want to hang in there. And then when it's wintertime, when it's just super cold, I use this, you know, to store like some of my deck furniture and stuff. So it's still going to be very functional. It's actually going to be a lot more bearable in the summertime to be able to do things in there or walk in there and whatever I need to do, and won't be as harsh in the spring when I'm trying to harden off plants. So it's not, you know, the perfect greenhouse, but this was a recycled window, my first build greenhouse, and overall it's been very functional, has held up very well over the last, we're going into our 4th season now. I just had the one issue with the roof that I wanted to share with you, and replacing the roof. If I had to do it all over again, I would have just started off with this roof and I never would have had to do this. I wouldn't do the corrugated plastic, or I would have maybe done the initial higher R-rated plastic that I was trying to start off with, but I ended up with a lot of leftover stuff because I bought stuff, took some stuff back, bought some more, decided I didn't like that either, I kept it but to use for other projects, but ended up going with the cheaper, like thin stuff, which long term did not hold up to Mother Nature. So there's my update on the greenhouse, and that's it. I'll have more garden updates and hopefully some chicken updates coming up here soon. But I appreciate that you're here hanging out with me again today. And hopefully you made it through my rambling on this video explaining everything about the greenhouse. But I wanted to give you guys that update. But hope everything's going great in your neck of the woods, and we will see you again soon. Have a great day. Namaste.